Breaking right now, an extraordinary courtroom verdict. Prince Harry has lost his £50 million case against the Daily Mail. But today, as he arrives for a speech at Chatham House, the moment this devastating verdict is announced, I can tell you, he has also lost his reputation. This man lied in court. He committed perjury. And he can sue me if he wants. King Charles must now strip his titles. This case, this verdict was make or break for the Duke of Delusion, and it is over. It's worth pointing out he's also dragged 7 other claimants down with him, including Baroness Doreen Lawrence, a woman who the Daily Mail supported through the murder of his son, Stephen Lawrence. However, the judge, Justice Nicklin, has accepted the explanation of all the Daily Mail journalists in question. This was not a split decision, as many of us suspected. This was a slam dunk for the Daily Mail. It wasn't even close. So today we are going to get into this astonishing verdict, which has been delivered just this afternoon with a special royal superstar panel. Joining us, legendary royal commentator Hugo Vickers, the author of Queen Elizabeth II, A Personal History. The American journalist and broadcaster Paula Frolick of Paula Frolick Uncensored on YouTube and Substack. And the royal columnist for the Daily Telegraph and The Spectator, Lee Cohen of The Tea with Lee. But first, I just want to give you some of the executive summary from Justice Nicklin today, because it is astonishing stuff. In this written verdict delivered from the High Court, Justice Nicklin said Associated called journalist witnesses who gave lawful explanations for the sourcing of the disputed articles and incidents. The court accepted their evidence, including their denials of unlawful information gathering. The allegations were serious. They included allegations of dishonesty, unlawful conduct, and deliberately false evidence. The more serious and less likely an allegation is, the more convincing the evidence must be before a court can find it proved. And a special mention today for Charlotte Griffiths, the editor-at-large of the Mail on Sunday newspaper. A woman who has had to put up with a lot, actually, over the past few years, as Prince Harry claimed that he had never met her, that he didn't know her, in order to try and destroy her career. Of course, I believe one of the most devastating moments in this case was the final day when the Daily Mail produced the most astonishing personal Facebook messages exchanged between Griffiths and Prince Harry, in which it was very clear the two had had an intimate relationship that Charlotte had never previously publicly disclosed. Harry has to explain why he lied in court about his relationship with Charlotte Griffiths. And I repeat, Charlotte Griffiths has been vindicated today alongside all of the Daily Mail journalists, especially the head of the Royal Rota, Rebecca English. Personally, I thought she was on the ropes with her particular case, but Justice Nicklin says absolutely not. And also Katie Nicholl, a woman who has her own cancer battle going on, and Prince Harry still despicably dragged her into court. So all of this explains why Associated newspapers have punched back hard today, and I do not blame them for this for a single second. I want to take you through the Daily Mail statement. No doubt this was penned by Paul Dacre himself. Associated Newspapers welcomes today's judgment, which is an overwhelming victory for the Daily Mail and its journalists and for a free press generally. Mr. Justice Nicklin today cleared the Daily Mail and Mail on Sunday and dismissed every single one of the 97 allegations made by the claimants. In every case, the judge accepted the honesty of our journalists' evidence on how they source their stories. This is a magnificent vindication of the Daily Mail's journalism for some of the most outrageous allegations made when the case was launched in a blaze of publicity 4 years ago, placing bugs in people's cars and homes, listening to calls as they were made, and illicitly accessing bank accounts. No credible evidence was ever presented. As we said at the time, these allegations were lurid and preposterous, and were a fishing expedition by the claimants and their legal teams in a politically motivated campaign to muzzle the free press. The reputations of our decent and hard-working journalists were terribly impugned, and today they have been exonerated. As the judgment clearly shows, every single article was legitimately sourced. Associated newspapers thanks Mr. Justice Nicklin for his patience and wisdom that he has displayed through the misguided legal action, which has wasted so much valuable court time and more than £50 million in legal costs. We will look to resolve outstanding issues, including the recovery of the costs we have incurred while defending ourselves against the egregious litigation. Now, Prince Harry should be bankrupt as a result of this, although the understanding is that he does have some type of insurance. But he is morally bankrupt. He relied on phone hackers. He relied on criminals. And he has been exposed for the man he is, a man who will lie about the royal family, about the British press, and a man who I do not believe has any place anymore in this country. His final words in court, which Dan Wootton Outspoken used AI to exclusively recreate, I believe were scripted, as he broke down in tears and attempted to win over the judge and the media by invoking his wife, Meghan Markle. There was no security, but also no crowds whatsoever. One of the 14 counts was planning to get up there and say, I'm the Dragon Slayer. Not only have I brought down the Daily Mail, I've just brought down the entire British mainstream media. Very special superstar panel reacting to this major breaking news. Hugo Vickers, I mean, this wasn't even close. It was a slam dunk. Lots of people thought the judge might just give Harry sort of a win on one of the 14 just so he had something to walk away with. But he didn't get that. This is a total destruction of his case and I believe his reputation today.
Well, and you raise a lot of interesting points, I must say. And you mentioned his reputation. I mean, he hasn't done an awful lot to enhance his reputation in the last few years. When you talk about some of the things to do with his wish for privacy, well, we think back to the memoir Spare, which I myself reviewed. I read the whole thing. I found a great number of faults of fact in it. So I think he was probably very unwise to go to court against the Daily Mail unless he had an absolutely cut and dried case, and he quite clearly didn't. And so we must respect the verdict of the court. And I just wonder what will happen next.
Well, indeed, because Paula Frolic, remember, if it wasn't for this last-minute, very sensible intervention from King Charles, Prince Harry would right now be residing at Buckingham Palace.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. It is, I think we all know exactly why he's not there now. But also, Dan, the point is, I think Harry knew he was going to lose. This is a last-ditch effort. So back in December 2025, there's a very interesting article on the Upsetter Substack right now, and it has an interview of a man who actually tried to intervene and get the Daily Mail to settle after all of the evidence was made public. It was around Christmas time, and Harry and team knew they were up a creek without a paddle. They saw all the notebooks. They saw everything that the Daily Mail had. They tried to settle, and the Daily Mail pretty much went, no, we shall not. Let's go to court. They wanted to put the nail in that coffin, and right now he's financially up a creek, reputationally up a creek, and I think Invictus is going to be the ultimate victim in this.
Which is obviously a sad thing, although a lot of people questioning actually whether Invictus should even go on anymore. We will come to that because, of course, that's officially the reason why he's in the United Kingdom. Lee Cohen, what can Harry say about this now? I mean, if he goes ahead and says, oh, no, the judge got this wrong, he's going to look even more insane.
Well, Dan, it's hard to imagine him looking more insane considering the circus of the past few days, not to mention of the past 10 years. I think his reputation is irretrievably stained, and I frankly, I feel compassion for the victim, the veterans who are his charity is representing, and all of the charities that are connected with him. What charity would possibly want to be associated with this man after he has, been had so many blows to his character, to his reputation. It's amazing. I don't know if you recall a couple of years ago, there was a hero who was killed on the battlefield that has a charity in his name, and his mother objected to Harry receiving an award in her son's name, and she remarked that his reputation is just too divisive and too controversial, and I think we're seeing that play out now.
Well, we absolutely are. Now, I want to talk about one of, I think, the most damning parts of the case for Prince Harry. It's also one of the most salacious, but remember, he is the man who decided to drag into court a former fling to try and destroy her. And remember, this is what he said in court about Charlotte Griffiths. This is from our AI exclusive recreation. The messages were produced as evidence. And remember, Charlotte Griffith, all credit to her, because I know I've been quite tough on her about certain aspects of the Harry story, but she had never released these messages publicly. It was only once Harry took her to court that she went public with them. Now, he said to her in the messages, this was in December 2011, hi, it's H, in case you were confused by the name in the picture. So he said, it's H. She replied saying, hello, Mr. Mischief. So that was a name that she had given to him, but it was included in the messages and the back and forth exchange. And the back and forth exchange, let's just be honest about it, makes it clear that there was an intimate relationship between the two of them. So surely Prince Harry was lying in court. Will there be a consequence to that?
I'm not sure if there's going to be a legal one in the UK. There will definitely be a social one, because right now I can legally say Prince Harry, comma, a known liar. Or if I was kind, Prince Harry, comma, a known serial memory variant, you know. And the other thing is, in the US, it is very hard to sue someone for libel. You have to have a reputation to defend. And one can argue right now that he does not have that anymore at all. So, you know, I think it's going to be much more social than it will be legal. I'm not sure there's an appetite for the court system.
No, because there never is. And that's the problem. I feel like he is just going to keep on. Look, the problem I've got with him is he keeps on trying to destroy other people's lives. I mean, Charlotte Griffiths and Katie Nicholl, they're people I've known personally, right? Years and years and years ago, we were both on the beat together. They are honest women. I mean, Katie has just gone through her own cancer battle. They both are mothers. And this idea that he wanted to destroy them is quite shocking to me. And I do sometimes think it is just worth actually looking at the messages themselves, because they do paint a particular picture of just how close and I think intimate the relationship was. So this is a particular exchange from January 2012. And Prince Harry says to her, hope you're really well, Griff. So he's calling her Griff. Miss our movie Snuggles. I'm off comms all week. In case you think I'm being rude, keep me posted. Kiss, kiss, kiss. Kiss, kiss, kiss. Kiss, kiss, kiss. Now, Hugo Vickers, just looking at that, just that message alone, that is a close relationship at the very least. That's not someone who you will forget in a couple of years' time. And Hugo, I mean, you're an author, you're a journalist. If a royal was sending you messages like that, you'd remember it, wouldn't you? So I think Harry, unfortunately, has been totally proven wrong because Charlotte Griffiths was able to bring the receipts.
Yes, it certainly would seem like that. And I don't want to defend Prince Harry in any way at all. I'm afraid I don't think he's terribly bright, and I think he's probably gone into all this and I don't know, maybe been to some extent encouraged by his legal team that he had a chance of winning.
Yeah.
And you know what it's like, you get hooked into these situations, probably egged on to some extent by his wife, because my theory, which I've certainly on many occasions in the past, is that a lot of the things he says don't seem to come from his head. They seem to be put into his head by his wife. Meghan speak, you can often tell that when he's making public statements. I've actually gone so far, if I'm allowed to say it, to say that I think he ought to be wearing one of those orange hostage suits that you sometimes see.
It's sort of the same colour as Paula's jacket.
Well, yes. Well, yes. But I don't mean to be rude, Paula. But much smarter jacket. Anyway, they go right across the orange things. But you know what I mean.
No, I do.
And I would just say this, that I live in a sort of slight atmosphere of chaos. And one day I picked up a copy of Hello magazine that was lying on the floor. And there was a picture of Prince Harry smiling and grinning and looking really happy. And I thought, hang on a minute, what's all this about? Then I looked at the date, 2015, i.e. pre-Meghan. In my view, he's always looked incredibly unhappy ever since he got involved with her. And you know, I think they're always trying to reinvent themselves. And one thing goes on for another. So it's, if it's a court case or it's her cutting up petals and scattering them on the salads and the things that she does, it's all very tiresome. And I was dreading this whole week with him coming to London anyway, because the moment he appears, it becomes a sort of contradiction with the British royal family, who are working for United Kingdom and Commonwealth, whereas he and his wife are working for themselves. And so it's always whatever he's doing, but takes on a great import. And one other point, if I may just make it, is,
please,
you know, he has, supported Invictus Games, which is a brilliant concept, which is to show wounded people that they are not victims. What has he done to himself? He's turned himself into the biggest victim of all time.
So true. And you're completely right. Here are the real royals this week, conducting their duty, going about it without any sort of drama. Although I do say King Charles and the tank, I wonder if he was sending a little bit of a message with that to his youngest son. It's interesting, Hugo, because you talk about Harry. I think he's an empty shell of a man today, actually.
The discussion begins with Prince Harry's latest legal proceedings involving the Daily Mail. For several years, Harry has pursued legal action against multiple British media organisations, arguing that unlawful information gathering and intrusive reporting have harmed both him and his family. According to the transcript, the latest ruling has been widely described by commentators as an important setback in that broader legal campaign. The presenters argue that the outcome has generated renewed public attention because Harry has consistently positioned himself as an advocate for media accountability and privacy reform. As with many high-profile legal disputes, the ruling has immediately become the subject of extensive media analysis and public debate. One of the most heavily discussed aspects of the case involves Prince Harry's testimony. The presenters suggest that statements made during the legal proceedings have become the focus of significant commentary. Some critics argue that portions of Harry's evidence contained inconsistencies or raised additional questions during the trial. However, it's important to distinguish between courtroom arguments, media commentary, and judicial findings. The transcript discusses allegations and criticism but does not establish that a court officially found Prince Harry had lied under oath. That distinction is essential when evaluating the claims surrounding the case. The conversation then shifts toward Meghan Markle. According to the commentary, some observers believe the legal setback has placed additional pressure on both Harry and Meghan as they continue balancing legal challenges, charitable work, and commercial projects. The presenters speculate that Meghan may be disappointed by the outcome and concerned about the effect on the couple's public image. However, the transcript provides no direct statement from Meghan confirming her feelings, meaning these interpretations remain speculative rather than verified. As is often the case with stories involving the Sussexes, public silence frequently leads to widespread media speculation. The presenters argue that this latest court decision represents more than an isolated legal setback. Instead, they suggest it forms part of the broader legal campaign Harry has pursued against several British newspaper groups. Supporters argue that Harry's willingness to challenge powerful media organizations reflects his long-standing commitment to protecting privacy and addressing practices he believes are harmful. Critics, meanwhile, believe repeated legal defeats could weaken public confidence in his campaign. Regardless of where viewers stand, the case demonstrates that Harry remains committed to pursuing these issues through the courts. Perhaps the most important lesson from this latest story is the importance of separating confirmed legal developments from commentary. The court proceedings themselves are matters of public record. However, claims that Prince Harry was officially found to have lied under oath or that Meghan Markle reacted with anger are not established by the transcript as confirmed facts. Those assertions are presented as commentary and interpretation rather than verified conclusions. Approaching stories like this with careful attention to the available evidence helps create a more balanced understanding of events involving the royal family. Prince Harry's latest legal challenge has once again placed the Duke of Sussex at the center of international attention. While the reported court decision has generated significant debate, many of the most dramatic headlines surrounding the case go beyond what is confirmed in the available reporting. As always, distinguishing between verified facts, reported claims, legal findings, and media commentary is essential when following stories involving the royal family.